Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Let's take another look here at ChainLink, see what's going on. Not only do I get a lot of requests for this coin, but I also am heavily considering a long position with a lot of alerts that triggered earlier today before I woke up. So we're just going to evaluate, make sure it's worthwhile taking a trade, and kind of go from there. So I hope that you learned something here today, and obviously you want to become a better trader. I do have a Trading Academy community and signals group. Links down below. Now, future reference too, when it comes to coins like this, this coin is doing very well with this price structure, and if there are indications that the price may go higher, it would probably be more advantageous to consider a long versus a short, just based on the simple fact that even though Bitcoin does appear to be moderately overextended, it's showing a lot of good qualities too. So just future reference here, if you're not familiar, Bitcoin does have a pretty good structure here. Likely going to continue higher here, of course, unless we somehow close below 100,000, right? If that were to happen, Chainlink would obviously shift gears. But the whole point of this is that there's tons of liquidation on the upside here, and Bitcoin has good momentum, strong likelihood we're going to see further upside for that. And if that does happen, I think Chainlink is going to follow suit based on the fact that we've retested this resistance 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times now. Okay, so again, generally speaking, you want to wait for confirmation to break above the resistance range. But so with there being a lot of liquidation above the price action, let's talk about that now. There's a good chance we're going to see further upside. So let's take a look here. First of all, we can see 2660 upwards about 2750 as that next little area of liquidation. So we've got that short-term liquidation range there, and we look at the macro too. There are a lot of shorts at 27 to 2750, even upwards of 28 to 29. So again, this coin definitely looks like it wants to take off and break out based on liquidation alone, but again, we don't necessarily take trades based on that one thing. Okay, so please understand that. Now, when we look at the macro though, or sorry, this is liquidation delta rather, we can see that there's more people trying to short this coin than take longs, right? And a lot of times when you see that short delta, kind of working out into a resistance level, it's generally best to, in most cases, avoid it. But there are some price structure things here that I noticed previously, as well as reaffirmed here today. I will talk about that in a minute, that indicate further upside potential for this coin. Now, again, I'm not trying to sit here and convince you that the price is going to break out or break down, right? Again, generally speaking, you want to convince yourself not to take a trade at all times. But when I have multiple alerts that trigger, and then we have this consistent retest with higher lows and parallel highs, the likelihood of breaking out is pretty high. Okay. Now, again, a lot of that hinges on Bitcoin and its success, but we're going to compare Chainlink as well to Bitcoin, so you can kind of see the combination of the two coins together, and you can see for yourself how much better Chainlink is performing versus the rest of the market. And usually that's another good indication too. So anyways, just some stronger scenarios here for you. Is it perfect? Probably never is going to be, but that's just something to recognize. This is another thing that's interesting to me, or more important, a good component of what I like to find when I take a trade. In other words, we have a lot of people adding to their position between 24 and 26. So we got some pretty heavy concentrations here. Most coins are kind of sparse, or majority of the open interest areas are above the price action. This one has a lot below. So that reaffirms that support between 24 and 26, and the decent chance that the price were to pull back, it'll probably be able to recover quickly and continue back upwards. Okay. So again, when I take a trade, I generally look for open interest in the opposite side of where I'm trying to go. In other words, if I'm trying to go up, I want open interest to be below me, reaffirming there is more support below than above. Okay. Obviously, it's resistance if it's above, but that's the general idea, right? So let's take a look here at the daily time frame. Work our way down and confirm a few things here. First of all, when it comes to the daily time frame, we're above all moving averages. Okay, obviously that's check number one. We want to make sure that's present when we take a trade. And then of course we haven't been overextended here, but we're moving upwards in the RSI in that sweet spot of between 60 and 70. Money flow index is extremely high. It's a very good reaffirming factor for me, letting me know that there's a lot of money flowing into this coin. So whenever I take a trade, if I were to take one, I like to consider coins that have more money flowing in the last 14 days than flowing out, right? So it just makes sense as to why it's going up here. People are actually buying this coin more so than they're trying to sell it. Even though liquidation delta is higher for shorts, which is a good thing, that implies more likelihood of short squeeze. Because if you see this resistance range here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so far 11 attempts to break through this level. Granted, we have broken through that previously, but we only spent a few days above that and came back down. But it's pretty obvious that this $26 mark is a heavy support level for us, or resistance, because we're on the other side of it. But for the moment here at this point, testing that resistance range 11 times over the last month and a half, that's a pretty sure sign that it's going to break eventually. Okay, So keep that in mind. Now again, I'm not much of a breakout trader, but when you have a kind of price structure like this, they tend to move quick once they do break. So again, get a little skin in the game, maybe a good consideration. If I were to take a trade with this, I'd probably do half or a third of my total position size in kind of in the $26 range, and then consider like 25 and 24 as my secondary, maybe tertiary targets. I'd also probably use a little bit lower leverage too, considering I don't want to go as high as 5x leverage. That's kind of the standard. Future reference, if you take a look here with our, what is it, Solana coin here, we can see 21% is the amount of profit we secured on that short. But that was a low 5x leverage trade, right? Now again, I would probably go lower than that here in this case, and it's definitely something I would be considering. So again, future reference, that's kind of what we're looking at there. The overall sentiment here is pretty good. 4-hour time frame, we can see we're above all moving averages here, especially the 20-day SMA, which is a good confirming factor. We can see RSI is staying and maintaining above 50. Stochastic swinging up. Money flow index is increasing. Again, it's going to be a little bit lower based on what we're seeing here because there's been a couple of aggressive candles, but for the most part, we're seeing still more buying pressure, and the MACD is trying to converge here soon as well, likely to see further upside. So again, pending Bitcoin doesn't dump to sub 100,000, I think we're in pretty good shape here. The last confirming factor I'd look for too is the Ichimoku cloud, just kind of confirming here that we have a pretty good scenario here. In other words, conversion line crossed over the baseline here. We're maintaining above the cloud, and the lagging span is literally right there, just about to break out for the price action. So another couple of hours, we're going to see that. So the truth here is there's a lot of good confirming factors that ChainLink is more likely to go up than down at this point. And again, it's just a statistical success rate is all. It's not a guarantee it's going to happen. If Bitcoin does end up pulling back, even though it's showing a lot of bullish signs, then ChainLink will too. But you got to recognize between 24 and 26, there's a heavy amount of support, specifically with open interest, and obviously some macro support ranges too that we can't overlook, right? We look at this local range here, we can see a lot of support at 24 with the point of control, and again, even more support in the 25 to 26 range. So take with it what you will. You decide if you want to take a trade. I've already sent out a signal to our community here, and I just want to kind of explain to you why I took that trade, but also more importantly, what things I try to look for when I do consider a trade like this, right? Now again, it's not perfect, it's not optimal. Ideally, keep this in mind, ideally, the price comes up here, and then comes back down to retest and continues higher. That's ultimately what you want for full confirmation. But right now, the market isn't giving us a ton of opportunities, and in this situation here, this does feel pretty primed and ready to rock and roll. I've had my eye on ChainLink for a while, and with all those alerts triggering, it just makes sense. So, what are your thoughts? Why don't you comment below if you get a chance? Make sure to hit the like button, comment if you can. Join us over on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord too if you're not familiar. I do provide playout charts. And again, future reference, Bitcoin's looking pretty strong. I think there's a decent chance we see most altcoins recover well today, pending Bitcoin doesn't dump on us, right? There's always that little factor, but generally speaking, good confirming factors. All right, folks, have a great rest of your day. We'll look forward to seeing the next one. Thanks again so much for your time. We'll see you soon.